My first... Shut up. You're making this difficult. So,
more fire.
This third story.
My beloved.
This third story, I still get angry about it.
What?
I was, again, I was napping. I was asleep. And this kid, we'll call him Toby, because there's going to be a lot of stories about Toby. I got woken up from a nap by this fire alarm. I walk into the kitchen. I'm sorry, I storm into the kitchen, because I was a dramatic person. Still am.
Thank you.
Getting there. Fling open the door, slam a chair down underneath the fire alarm, stand up and start screaming, "Somebody get me a broom." And I just stood there until they brought me something.
Chair.
I stood there on a chair in the middle of the kitchen screaming for a broom until they brought me one. I slammed it into the fire extinguisher because I was very upset. I had been woken up by an unpleasant noise. I was not excited about my day. And I just turned, because there's like 12 people in the kitchen. And I turned and I went, "Please, someone give me a good reason for this fire alarm. Is the dorms on fire? Are we in danger? Or did you just wake me up for no reason?" Very upset. And so one of them starts giggling and he goes, "Why don't you ask Toby?" So I start screaming down the hallway because there's a girls' side and then there's a guys' side. And so girls don't go down guys' hall, guys don't go down girls' hall. I slam the guys' hall door open and stand in the doorway and start screaming his name. And I just keep screaming and I'm like, "Get in the kitchen!" So he comes out. Very calmly, I might add.
He was always very well.
He was extremely calm about the situation.
Probably had a very big smirk on his face.
He comes out into the kitchen, calm and cool and collected, and turns. And I was like, "Please tell me why the fire alarm is going off." And he like smiles and kind of laughs. And he goes, "I don't know what you're talking about." I was like, "Yes, you do. They just told me. Why would they tell me to ask you if you don't know what's going on?" And he goes, I kid you not, he goes, "Oh, yeah, I don't know." I'm like worked up. So the same kid that ratted him out in the first place, same kid, he goes, "Oh, so you mean you didn't make a flamethrower in your room?" I'm a second year, so I'm supposed to be responsible, and I'm supposed to be the one that tells them this is a bad idea, don't do that.
But you were sleeping.
And I was asleep. And they had told me they had made a flamethrower earlier in the day, and I was like, "You guys, that's really stupid and dangerous. Like, you shouldn't do that." And I turned to this kid, I turned to Toby, and I'm like, "You made a flamethrower inside the dorms." I wouldn't have been near as mad if it had happened outside, because then we could have used the fire extinguisher and not have cleaned anything. But no, he made a flamethrower in his room. Everything in the dorms is flammable other than the walls. He goes, "Oh, yeah." Oh, and I just started screaming. I freaked out on this kid. I was like, "What do you mean you made a flamethrower in the dorms? Why are you this? Finally, somebody calmed me down. And I just looked at him. I was like, "Don't ever do it again."
Probably not nearly that nicely.
No. And I went back to my room. So this last one you guys already kind of know about because it was at One Thing. It was in the last vlog with Savannah. This was probably one of the worst moments. So me and Savannah and two other girls were asleep in a hotel room at One Thing. And I got woken up by what I thought was a phone alarm. So I wasn't nearly as upset in that moment. And when I was like not really chaperoning, but I was kind of in like mom mode for the weekend, I get woken up and I'm like, "Oh, it's a phone alarm." And I'm like, "Somebody turn off your phone." Like I was already kind of frustrated just because I don't like that sound. And I don't even remember who said it, but I hear, "That's not a phone alarm." So then it clicks and I'm like, "That's a fire alarm. Oh God." And so I like rip open my covers and get out of bed and I start like putting on pants and a sweatshirt so I can go downstairs. And I'm like, "Okay, everybody." And I'm trying to stay calm. It probably didn't come off as calm, but I was trying really hard. And I was like, "Okay, everybody, we need to get dressed and we need to get out." I was like, and they're like, "Okay, let me grab this." And I was like, "No. Get your stuff and get out of the room. I was like, we need to go downstairs and go outside. And it's like 4 degrees. And so Savannah puts on like pajama pants or whatever and like grabs a sweatshirt, and the other girl grabs the clothes and leaves. Brooke like follows them out. I'm like, go with them. I'm gonna make sure this other girl who is my friend from back home is like ready. She's taking her sweet time because nobody is as affected by it as me, because I guess nobody else cared that there's a fire alarm. And so I'm like, get your stuff and let's go. I don't understand why you are like taking so long. And she flipped out on me. She got really upset. Brooke comes back in the room and she's coming to grab something. I thought she was gonna change clothes, and I got mad. I was like, what are you doing? And I literally turned to them and I go, all right, you need to get your crap and get out of the room. And they didn't like that, obviously, because I didn't handle it well. But I was extremely upset and I was flustered, and I was, for lack of a better word, I was scared. Because there's a fire alarm at 8:30 in the morning in a hotel in a strange place. And they don't set a fire alarm off at 8:30 in the morning just to test it. They snap at me and I went, you know what? Fine. And I closed the door and I left. And I left my room key. Awesome. I take the stairs and I walk downstairs and I'm talking to everybody, and we get down there and they're not making anybody go outside, but this guy is like running around in circles trying to find out what's going on. He was like, everybody's gonna be fine, just give us a minute. I'm like, you even look scared, bro. Like, that's not instilling anybody with confidence. He's running around trying to figure it all out, and I'm talking to people. I am obviously upset and very flustered, and so people are like, oh, Chastity, oh. The guys told me, they were like, Chastity, when we were waiting for you to come down because we knew that you were going to be upset. I'm that predictable. But so they finally come around and they're like, hey, you guys can head back to your room. The fire alarm shuts off. And I walk over to the front desk, still mad at the people who were in my room. Like, they had come downstairs and I was still upset. And I knew that if I had talked to them, I was going to say something that I was going to regret that I didn't mean. Because if you didn't know, fun fact, your IQ drops by 50% when you're angry. So I didn't want to say anything that I would regret or that I didn't mean. So I was just like not talking to them right now. I just needed to take a deep breath. I walk over to the front counter and I'm like, I need another room key. She gave me a key to my room and I went upstairs and I like talked to my girls and I apologized for being crazy and all that good jazz. And me and Savannah ended up going downstairs for breakfast. And this was the funny part. Me and Savannah ended up going downstairs for breakfast, and that's when I was telling you guys what was going on in the hotel room at 8:30 in the morning. And you could see Savannah all irritated in the back. We were dressed exactly alike. Did you catch that? We were both wearing our Brook Hill sweatshirts.
That was all I had.
Same. I just grabbed it. So we get downstairs and I was telling you guys, and I think I cut this part out, but a microwave went off and it was the same like
And you're like, oh.
tone. It was the same sound as the fire alarm, and I started to hyperventilate because I thought it was happening again. So what had happened was there wasn't a fire, there wasn't anything wrong. For some reason, the water pressure in the pool had risen, and it caused the air pressure in the room to like expand or get like thicker or whatever. I don't really understand, but it had set off the fire alarms. Water set off the fire alarm. Who would have guessed it? But I tell you all of these stories for a couple of things, which will probably be my main point in a lot of my story times. Don't get worked up over nothing. I yelled at a lot of people and I got really flustered over literally nothing. It was not a big deal. I just got mad to get mad because I did not have a handle on my emotions. Also, not everything is a big deal. Not everything is life-threatening. And I love people. For the love. A lot of this wouldn't have been nearly as bad if I had just loved the people around me and not been so flustered and been so dramatic. Take a deep breath. All is well. Leave a comment if anything crazy and fun happened to you on a trip or like with a fire alarm, if you've ever been dramatic for no reason. I want to hear about it. I totally want to know. I love you guys, and I will see you next time.